allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is the Rolling Ridge Lakeside Trail Project with John Ballerini. Is he here to give us, tell us what he proposes to do?
Well, my name is John Ballerini, and I'm a Life Scout in Troop 87. And I'm working on an Eagle Scout project in Rolling Ridge Retreat Center. The easement down there with the trail needs some signs put into it. It's not really marked very well. So that's the overall basis of my Eagle Scout project.
And let me introduce myself too. Mark Rogers, I'm an assistant scoutmaster for Troop 87 and an advisor to John in this project, and also a liaison between the Troop 87 and Larry Peacock at Rolling Ridge.
So first slide, yeah. These are about the information and destination signs. They're going to be about 1 foot tall and 1.5 feet wide. The laminated top sheet is what's going to be portraying the information, and these are going to be like the main destinations throughout the trail that need some like explaining and have a good amount of history to them. They're going to be using exterior grade lumber, using 4x4 posts and plywood backing with trim pieces around the information on the signs. So then direction markers. These ones are just, they keep you on the trail and they inform you on where the trail is going to be heading. 6 inches long, 2 inches wide, and about 5 feet off the ground. Boundary markers. There's a lot of various places where you can go off the trail. There's a lot of side paths, but it's Rolling Ridge private property. So you need a good amount of boundary markers that inform you to stay on the trail and not go into Rolling Ridge property unless you are a guest at Rolling Ridge. Yeah. So. And then the format of them, they'll be built with like pressure treated wood. There'll be the words will be printed of like some sort of waterproof printing, like a plastic or metal. The signs will be painted white, and they will have the Rolling Ridge logo on it. They said they wanted the sign similar to the sign out front near the road that you see, that style of the signs. And then just the last slide is just, I've marked out throughout the trail what type of sign I have designated where it needs to go. So, yeah. Should I explain the signs, or will like?
All right, do we have any questions? Joe?
First of all, it's a great project. I wish you luck in it. How old are you?
I'm 17.
17? When are you going to turn 18?
December.
You got some time to get this done. Good for you. So people come in to use this trail. Is it intended for open to the public where people come in from outside and park in a parking lot?
Yeah.
And where's that? I'm looking at your map. I'm seeing Rolling Ridge parking lot.
Sorry, I'll interject there. He's aware of it, but there is no parking lot there yet.
Okay.
It's going to be a little while. Originally, he did want to do a parking lot kiosk, but
Bigger
so we
project.
get a parking lot, we can't do that, so he's doing the boundary markers for now.
Okay, that's what I was asking. So at some future project, somebody else might get them from the parking lot down to the trail, but in the meantime, people have to know that they're heading there.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
The easement grants 3 parking spaces and at the intersection of the road and beginning of the trail.
But from that area, is it obvious where the trail begins? You know, are you going to have something in that lot that says, you know, trail with an arrow pointing to it?
I was planning on just putting at least like a small sign on the trailhead, where you would park your cars. As long as you just walk down it's a road basically. As long as you walk down the trail or the road, you would find the trailhead. It's just on your left.
Okay, so fair enough. And you're not clearing any new trail, you're just
No.
marking out what is there.
Marking, yeah.
I'm all set.
I think it's a great project. I don't have any questions. You've given me all the information I need. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Jack?
Looks very good to me, too. How many signs total do you plan to put out?
I put it in here. I think it's about 15 signs.
And are you making these signs yourself or buying them?
I'm making the wooden parts that they're going in, but I'm going to a sign company for them to be printed.
So you did some fundraising as well? part of
Well,
this?
I haven't yet, but
You will.
yeah, I'll seek some money.
Do it quickly. No more questions?
Okay, I've got more.
One quick one. I'm sorry, I apologize. It just popped into my head. That happens to me a lot. Your closest access point to the lake on your trail, do you know what that is? How many feet the closest point your trail comes to the lake?
I do not.
Okay.
I've walked the trail several times, and I'm just going to guesstimate that the trail comes probably within 12 to 15 feet of the lake.
At its closest point?
I think that's as close as...
Approximately?
Yeah.
Down by the boathouse.
So,
Down near the boathouse, probably.
exactly, down near the boathouse.
That's the boathouse.
Okay, I see it, yeah.
All right, it appears that that some of the posts are gonna be within 25 feet. And then the 25-foot no disturb zone, so then we will issue an enforcement order to basically allow the project to go forward as proposed. And it's a friendly enforcement order.
Yeah, friendly, and
Well,
the
does
side,
it qualify as a small project? Could
That's
it?
why I asked the clearing of trail question, because if it...
we generally do these, this is how we've done all of the others, all the
Yep.
other Eagle Scouts.
Yeah.
The posts themselves normally would be, exempt, except they're so close. But in order to properly mark our boundaries, the enforcement orders seem like the
Yeah, I have no
logical way
objection
to
either
go.
way, just thinking,
And the main part was your approval because you have the care of the easement.
So what we just did is we have 4 different levels of permitting that we need to concern ourselves with. And what we're trying to do is find the one that best fits us giving you permission to do this. We're not arguing how not to do it. We're trying to find the best way that it fits. So if you hear something like an enforcement order, it sounds negative, but in this instance, it's what we call a friendly enforcement order. It allows the work to move forward, and you have a written permit in your hand that allows you to do the work.
Okay.
Are there any restrictions for affixing signs to trees that we should be aware of?
Type of nail you use is usually the inhibiting factor. Any sort of plated nail, like a copper plated or a galvanized nail, is going to do harm to the tree itself. Though the preferable way isn't exactly good either. That's to cut a blaze. Just cut a scab in the side of it and then freshen up that blaze, just following a color scheme along a certain trail. And that's what everybody uses, really.
Yeah.
National Park Service, the Appalachian Mountain Club, just uses a blaze system, and it's the least maintenance involved.
It's just the least informative. If we're trying to keep people off certain areas of the trail. We really want to be able to tell people.
So,
And you take it for
Stay on the
granted that
trail.
somebody who knows how to, a hiker knows how to follow a blaze line. Person coming to recreate for the first time along it and maybe doesn't know how to hike a trail, doesn't know what the heck that blue patch on a tree means, or the yellow patch. And you know that you follow the yellow line and the blue line to get at a particular destination, which you could show on a map and show on a trailhead sign. But the average recreation walker isn't going to know what that means. So what you're doing is probably the best. But yeah, you ought not to attach things to the trees.
if I may, Greenbelt was before us recently to build a new trail on the Farnsworth property. I was on that trail last week. They have brand-new signs along the trail, trail markers, and what they used is they used nails with rubber spacers where the sign would go against the tree. The spacer is against the tree. So when they hammer the nail in, the rubber spacer will give as the tree moves, grows, and as the bark moves. It's not as permanent as glazing a tree, but it looked like a really nice idea in terms of not doing damage to the bark as the tree continues to grow. So I don't know if they'd be rubber washers or just pieces of hose cut. I don't know if you'd make them yourself or buy them at Ace, but the rubber was the contact point with the tree on the inside of the sign.
How many signs along the destination? Do you have an idea of that? You know, you're using arrows to point people through, right? Do you know approximately how many of those were?
Of those, there's only a couple, probably around 3. Actually, just where the trail takes like an immediate turn. And it's like, the rest are gonna be like boundary signs, because there's a lot of side trails you can see.
So the boundaries are the difficult thing. What I was thinking, you know, when I'm looking to you, Heidi, is we must still have the North Andover Trail medallions.
Yeah, we still have some of the round discs with arrows. And certainly if you want to come take a
We
look
could
at what
make
we
some of
have.
those available
Yeah.
to help that out. And those are something that, it's the right kind of metal that, you know, will last. But I agree with Al, if you put some rubber behind it, just so the tree bark it doesn't take long for the tree bark to grow around it and cover the medallion over. But if you do put a spacer in it, it'll probably quadruple its life.
Jen and I
We have those we can do for free, those markers.
Yes, yeah.
I mean,
So if you want to come
I'll
down
offer
and
that to the
take a
commission
look,
to offer those, but
that's fine.
there's
I
not
know
there are
that's only
many.
a small portion of what you're doing, but Jen and I have been looking at how to fix things to trees, because we have to mark legacy trees. And we've been looking at different options. They have new spring-type wires and all kinds of neat stuff to put them up without restricting the growth of the tree and without having your signs get eaten over the years. So if you have other ideas, you could just run them by us. But we don't restrict.
The Eagle Scout project, the things that you changed along the way, so you gotta kind of think these things through and take notes, because during your board review, it'll come up.
Okay, no more questions? Do I hear a motion?
Let me ask the question. What are we looking for in the motion? That's what I was trying to get to.
Friendly
We're absolutely looking for an enforcement order? Well, I'll move it then, and the verbiage of the enforcement order I would leave up to the administrator.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No one opposed? Thank you very much.
So you'll get a document from Heidi and the staff, you know, that'll actually be a permit. Okay, so this was just the hearing part of it.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have a number of small project requests. First one on the docket is NACC number 143, 136 Old Farm Road. Is there a representative from,
The contractor's here tonight.
okay?
This is for a deck extension addition. But just a couple things to run by the important stuff. The additional deck they're putting out is under the 300 square feet by quite a bit. There is a corner on the plan that you can see right here. Within that corner is within the 50-foot. This line that you see is the 50-foot. There it says 50-foot no build. That corner is within 50 feet, but he is proposing to cantilever it. And I'll let the contractor, I just want to make sure I let them know about the cantilever, 'cause anything in the 50 is a big.
So I'll defer to the contractor, but as the homeowner, I just want to say we moved in 2 years ago, moved into town, we love it. We're learning about conservation as we go. quite honestly. The whole point of this project is that line you see is the fence. We have young children, lots of young children, one on the way, and we want to get stairs outside the fence. That's the whole theory of the kids could come out of the house, go outside, play, and not come into the pool area. Where the existing steps are comes in within the fence, basically right down to the pool. And that's what we're trying to avoid, and why we've hired Mike. So Mike, take it away.
Yeah, so as you can see in this drawing, the current deck has a corner clipped on it. So what we're proposing to do is just sister the existing floor joist. We cantilever over an existing beam to kind of square that corner off. Other than that, we'd be adding that small 4-foot by approximately 10-foot section with a new set of stairs coming down to a landing. Then there'd be one step, one going toward the pool area, one going toward the driveway where the children play. The step going towards the pool would have a locking gate on it, so that way they'd have access directly from the house and their playroom there right down to the driveway without having to go into the pool area.
The original plan was where it's a 45-degree, we were going to make a 90-degree and just add a second set of steps right there with a gate. And that would have been the most cost-effective and the easiest, but we understood once we got to learn of this that wouldn't make sense from a conservation point of view. So this is the redesign of what we hope will be acceptable with the single staircase and the landing.
The existing deck, sunroom, and pool are all properly permitted and COC and all of that. There is a shed out there, piers and aerials somewhere in 2005. We discussed it with the homeowner, and the shed is within the 50. So he's aware that that may need to be moved outside the 50.
Say that again, you have the aerials from 2005,
2005 is when
and
the
it shows
shed-
that it is there, or it shows that it
The
wasn't?
shed is there in 2005, but not in 2001.
Not
so-
2001, so,
Yep.
so we obviously had the 25, 50 way before that, so
Yep,
so it ended up there. You guys are the new owners, so you guys didn't do it, we know that.
yeah.
I'm not seeing the shed on any of the plans, though.
It's not on the, it didn't make it onto the plan. We
was
discovered
discovered
it
during-
when we went out for the
during
site
inspection.
visit.
Okay,
Yep.
gotcha.
Sorry.
So where is it approximately then? How can we orient the shed onto the plan?
In the photos, if you see about where the end of the pool is, the far end, a straight line.
From this photo here?
Yep. Straight line over to the left would be the end of the pool.
Okay.
We
I can-
measured, it was like 38 feet, 37 feet.
Pick it up and move it over 12 feet into compliance.
He has room to, yeah, we
That's a,
looked out there, there's room.
it's a
to move
skid
it.
shed, it's not on a real foundation.
It's not on a real
Yeah.
it's built up, and it's raised off the ground and such, but it's not on an actual foundation, no.
It's not falling apart, though. It's structurally good? So you could roll it?
We think
You could put some pipes under it and roll it?
We'll give it a shot.
We don't
could
want you to
give it a
destroy it,
shot.
but we're saying
Yeah.
that's the best way to do
I
it.
mean, in terms of, in terms of picking it up, I think that would be rather difficult without destroying it structurally. I mean, it is a shed, so they're not built to really be moved around.
Some chunks of PVC
Yeah, I mean,
and a couple of helpers.
that would probably be, I would say the only way to do it, yeah.
That way you don't damage the shed and you can move it.
Yeah,
Just might need a few guys there and
Okay.
a few people there and some PVC.
yeah.
You were going to look into, Heidi, during the 2005 aerial shot, what the line was? Had the line shifted at all since 2005?
Not really, no.
No, okay, all
I
right.
mean, it's the old plans. I had looked on the old approved pool plans when the sunroom and stuff was done to see if the shed was permitted at that time, and it wasn't included on the plans. And the line wasn't much different.
Then it was the-
Yeah, I
just
mean, a
curious.
few feet different, but
Okay, not enough.
the shed wasn't shown and it wasn't far enough, yeah.
Okay, just curious to know the outcome.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't-
Sitting here wrestling with this, still wrestling with the same exact question. It's a small project for what they're proposing to do. I think it's actually two separate discussions. I think it's small project for the deck, and it's an enforcement order for the shed. Because you can't condition moving the shed, because it's no longer a small project.
Actually, I was talking about,
the squaring off.
yeah, about the squaring off of the deck. I mean, this looks like a very approvable project to me, but not necessarily as a small project. Our small project bylaw requires that there be no waivers requested at all.
Well,
And there is a waiver requested.
It won't be if they cantilever, it won't be waivered. The overhang won't be in contact, it's
I
the
get-
foundation.
Yeah, I get that, but is that
If you
really?
look at the
is that-
framing plan, that's submitted.
I saw it, Joe, I understand that.
I mean, other than you want it, is there a need to square the corner off?
I mean, it's more of an aesthetic thing. I'd get a little bit more usable space. It actually
Maybe a little bit of space, but
makes it easier in terms of putting the railings on as well with the composite system.
So it's additional cost. Help me out here. What are we fighting, what are we struggling with? I mean, I understand that.
Jack is on squaring off the corner.
I hear that, but if it's cantilevered, is it an issue still? I'm just asking.
I don't recall if we set a precedent on that. I know that it's a requirement of the small project bylaw that no waivers be requested. This looks like it could be a waiver request.
In the past, you're right, it could be. In the past, anytime we had a deck or a structure, anything overhanging into the 50, we allowed cantilevering to resolve.
Pull the foundation out,
Yeah, in other words,
sonotubes, whatever.
no sonotubes, no foundation. We allowed it to be cantilevered. And, I mean, we've done that consistently. In my tenure anyway, we've consistently allowed cantilevering as an alternative.
If we were instructed,
And that's what you're
we could-
proposing, correct?
Simply because when we went with the original plan of the second set of steps, we were told that that wouldn't fly, and then that's when we were instructed we could cantilever, and that's when we came up with the new design.
So let's see, the other part of the problem, why we're having the discussion, is this is proposed as a small project, which is the least intrusive filing that we offer. And Jack's right, there are conditions. One of the conditions is there can be no waiver requests. Otherwise, it would then become either an RDA or an NOI.
We've already determined that no waiver is required. but-
So if we agree, I guess that's the question I'm asking. If we agree as a commission that there's no waiver required, then we can proceed forward. I think we have to have that, I think we have to procedurally agree to that.
Well, it seems like we already have, because the commission, not the commission through the,
you have consistently
has
allowed
already advised them
cantilevering with no
of that.
waivers.
No, I understand. I'm not, it's not lost on me, but there are four of us up here, and it
So you
sounds
have
like
to-
one disagrees.
I understand.
So we have to, I think we gotta do this
Do
by
you
the,
disagree?
we gotta do this by the numbers.
All right.
Otherwise, we smear the whole
I
thing.
don't disagree. I bring it up because I want to make sure that we cover all the
So he does- he's not-
things.
Apparently, it's the policy that if it's cantilevered, it's not an issue.
It's written in the bylaw.
Okay, so therefore,
So we're good on that?
so we resolved that it's going to be cantilevered, so then I think we're good on
Just I want it to be said.
Okay.
That's all I want.
Just so we're consistent. 'cause,
But
you
That's
know,
exactly right, that's
Yeah.
exactly right.
But Heidi, what separates, just for clarification, what separates this application from a type J other similar project from a type A, which is open slotted decks, which we allow? Is it the square footage?
Yeah, because the
It's
square
too big.
footage, no, it's not, what they're adding on is under 300 square feet. The existing deck they're not touching footings, they're redoing the decking, but, we permit that without anything, the decking. So they're.
Within the square footage.
Yeah, the work they're doing, it falls under under the square footage.
Okay, so it could have been an A, but
It is.
because it's an addition to an existing deck is why we selected to make it a J.
It's checked off as an A. Did you have it as a J?
Mine is a J.
I have it as an A on mine.
We have two different applications.
You're
There's
on the wrong
several
one.
small
We're on the wrong
projects.
one.
It might be the wrong one.
I have the wrong form.
We're on 143, Joe's skipping ahead.
I have a, yeah, sorry, we're looking at the wrong font. This
Yeah.
one, I was already
I
saying.
understand.
So we agree now,
It's A.
okay. Devil's in the details, huh? All right, so
Question?
I guess I'm just in my head, I'm trying to think out loud, yep. It happens all the time, you know?
Are there any more questions from the board?
What about the shed? Is the shed part of the project?
We'll deal with it separately, I think, you said.
Can't be part of the small project, because that's what I was driving at, is once we get into the shed discussion, it's no longer a small project.
It's not, then it's an
So I think we've discussed an issue of permit as a small project for the deck, and simultaneously, we're probably in this very second vote, is issue an enforcement order to move the shed into compliance outside the 50-foot. But I don't think we can lump the two together.
Okay, so, let me take a shot at this, see how I do, jump in.
I was on the wrong page.
I think-
You have at it.
I know I'm on the right page. I think the first motion is we have to, I move that we consider the project to be correctly applied for under the letter A as a small project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No one opposed.
No one opposed, that's unanimous. And then my second motion would be then, since we found that it's correctly filed as an A, that we allow the small project as proposed with cantilevering and no waivers.
Second?
Any special conditions? Just post-construction?
Pre and post are usual.
Pre-post,
No erosion controls necessary?
there shouldn't be any necessary, but as determined by the administrator.
Pre and
Yep.
post as determined.
It's a standard
Okay,
condition.
yeah,
All in favor?
yeah. Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
And I guess I'll close it up by offering that we direct the administrator to issue an enforcement order to bring the shed into compliance.
Second.
Motion and second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. No opposed. Do you understand what that enforcement order will say? Okay.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you as well.
Thank you. We'll be in touch tomorrow.
Okay, the next item is NACC number 144, 730 Winter Street, Norton.
This one's a J.
You pre-read this, Joe.
I'm all set.
So, this is homeowner Mr. Norton's present. This is to remove a piece of driveway that comes up the road and replace it with permeable pavers. The plan, the wetland line, all of that is taken, this is what he's gonna propose, is taken from a recent as-built plan that was done when the septic system was replaced, and that was just recently closed up last fall. Yep. So it's a recent plan, recent delineation, and most of the work splits the 100-foot buffer zone. About 150 square feet is in the buffer zone. Total is 300 square feet.
I notice that part of this work is within the right-of-way of Winter Street. Is Winter Street a public way?
Winter Street is a public way,
And
and
have you got permission from the town to put pavers in a public way?
I am actually offset from the public way by 6 feet, so I'm not in the right-of-way of the public, as it's flagged out right now. It's indicated a little differently on the drawing that you have
According to
there.
the drawing, you were within the public way with part of it, but you're saying that that's not the case?
It's not the case, no.
Okay.
Follow up, just so you're clear, I'm going to follow up on that. Both of us happen to be municipal guys, so.
The reason, just to give a little history, the reason I ask it.
A lot of towns don't allow
In
them.
particular, Marblehead, which I worked for, never allowed pavers within the public right-of-way. You could put concrete down, you could put asphalt down, but you couldn't put pavers down, paving stones. So that's
So
why
when
I
we say
asked.
the right of way, we mean the legal right of way,
Legal
not
right of way of the
necessarily the
street.
edge of roadway, edge of pavement, which you know there's a distinction. From the edge of pavement back some distance is where your actual property line is. So that no man's land that you think is your front yard or maybe the end of your driveway,
Yes,
you know is clearly town property.
correct.
Okay.
So the first process, I will talk to them about that, and I do have their application for.
We can still give you permission under wetlands,
Yes,
that we're not giving permission to be on the town right away. That's going to take a separate DPW permit.
understood.
Right, so our conversation will be strictly to the wetland question, right? Right.
Thank you, Jay. Okay, so that's what this project is, just for the replacing the asphalt, existing asphalt, and then putting down these paving blocks.
Correct. It was
Okay.
damaged during installation of the septic system last year with all the heavy equipment.
Okay, Joe, do you have any questions?
Just on the sketch, there's a paler of the two blue lines. What is that shown on the sketch here? It's nothing, right?
No, I knew that because I almost labeled it too. It's funny, before I scanned it, I almost labeled it. That was a small project for a fence that he had done previously, last fall. Yeah, I know, I was gonna white it out, label it
So
something.
the wetland line I'm looking at is the other side of the septic system in the backyard. It's really nothing even in close proximity to the driveway side of the lot at all, right?
Yes, the pink highlight is the 100-foot buffer zone.
Am I looking at? I don't have a pink.
It's on, can you see it on here? I
it's not-
scanned
Oh,
it.
wow, it didn't reproduce, I see, it's up
Yeah,
there.
it's on both screens, but
I think
it's not on
copies
our
got
drawings.
made,
So that's the 100-foot?
copies got made before I
That's
finished
the
some
100-foot.
things.
I'm all set.
You just
I'm all
tested-
set.
You're testing us tonight, that's what you're doing.
The plan says
I thought I was on the wrong
This
application
is
again.
clearly a quiz, a very public quiz. that's
Quiz
going on
night.
here. Clearly, you're messing with us in a very public way. So,
You'll pay.
and you will
I
pay for
know.
this. My only question is of you. You're satisfied with the wetland line, the location, you're satisfied with that?
Absolutely.
And I don't have any questions of you because I believe you know what you're doing, and I'm sure it's going to be fine.
Jack,
Mr. Chair.
Questions at all?
okay, I have no questions. Do I hear a
You
motion?
did such a great job last time.
That's what happens when you get it right once. I move that we consider this application, NACC number 144, to be a small project in compliance with the letter J.
Under the old form. He had the old form. I know, more
Under
tests.
the old form, more quiz. Heidi, this is just not good. There's people here. Okay, under the old form.
Jay, under the old form.
May 2nd.
Roger.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Therefore, I move that we approve NACC number 144 as proposed,
Second.
with the same usual conditions of pre-post, et cetera.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Be in touch.
Knocking off these small projects.
Next item is NACC number 145, 1353 Salem Street, Green.
So this one, the owner is present, going to be redoing their septic system, which is outside of the buffer zone. However, there is a connection from the house to the proposed tank and some minor grading that falls within the buffer zone. The wetland line's been reviewed and confirmed. And it's listed as a small project L on the new form.
Okay, and this project is restricted to the removal of the existing septic tank?
Nope, this is to, yes. You know what, you're
Well,
you're absolutely right, they
you're
didn't
removing the
include,
existing tank, you're crushing it and you're hauling it out of there.
was not included, you're absolutely right.
And
Oh.
then you're also hooking up the new septic tank to the house.
Their narrative actually
Actually,
does,
the
yeah.
the narrative describes
Caught
it.
me.
I-
The narrative describes it, yes.
The narrative does describe
They
it.
just didn't call it out on the plan.
Do we have any questions from the board? Joe?
None at this point.
Al?
No, sir, no questions.
Jack?
No questions.
Okay, I have no further comments. Do I hear a motion?
I will continue to move that we consider NACC number 145 to be a small project under letter L.
New form.
New form.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Accordingly, I move that we approve the small project as proposed with pre- and post meetings with our administrator.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No opposition, so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next small project is NACC 146-209 Best Way. Sawatsky.
This one, the owners are present and the contractor. This one came in as a small project for a deck. Replace the existing deck with a bigger one, but it's under 300 square feet. There is a old as-built plan from when the house, or from '94. We went out to check the wetland line. Measurements are accurate. The new deck would be over 50 feet. However, when we got on site, we discovered there was a patio built. So the owners are the new owners, and they had a patio built without realizing that they were doing anything in violation. They immediately set to taking care of whatever they need to do. They've already picked up the RDA paperwork to do an after-the-fact RDA to remedy the violation out there. It was, contractor had pulled all of the permits, not this contractor. So they, no.
Where's the patio?
We just discovered this yesterday.
Where's the patio relative to
So the
proposed
patio,
deck?
the patio's not shown on the plan, of course, because this is, and it is just to the, let me get the plan up. Or not. 29. So where that miscellaneous arrow shows and it says 159, 157, the patio is right next to the deck and ends about where those numbers start. The patio is more than 50 feet, we did confirm that. So in...
Is it inside the stone wall? Is it on the
It
house
is.
side of the stone wall in entirety?
It is within, there's an existing fence and there's a slope back there.
It's a raised patio right there.
There was no erosion of any kind or anything like that from patio installation, thankfully.
Is this accurate? There's a stone wall there?
Yeah, that's shown.
There is a stone wall, but the land, it's a stone retaining wall. In the photo.
So where your number line calls out 157, 159, you have an arrow ending right on what appears to be a stone. So is this the,
And that would be,
That's
so this fence
drops
right
away
here,
from there.
it drops down over here, and then there's a stone.
oh, I see,
Retaining
okay,
wall down
yep,
behind.
all right, gotcha, all right, okay.
So, after discovering that, we talked to the homeowners. I've already picked up the RDA. They're on top of it. They're planning to submit by Friday, which is the deadline.
We should be ready by tomorrow. We are actually
Okay.
working on this right now. Yeah.
They'll submit tomorrow. And in speaking to the administrator, come forward with the small project to see what your thoughts were as far as the small project and
With regard to the deck?
with regard to the deck.
I mean, the deck is the small project, right?
The deck is the small project, and the violation can certainly be dealt with separately.
They should be separate.
Yep.
They should be separate.
Yes.
We shouldn't blend this, we shouldn't blur this one.
No, it's just if the deck couldn't move forward without, that was all.
The question I guess the question I would ask is should the IDA be satisfied first before the small project, or and does it matter how we do it?
I was gonna say it almost crosses the boundary on a small project, but I'm willing to open discussion for it. It would be a unique condition, but I think we would condition that the permit is not in force until the deck is in compliance.
I'd almost rather not hear it at all until the IDA is closed. Because this kind of takes it out of the small project area, I think. Because everything else has to be in compliance before we can consider a small project. There can't be any waivers or violations. Otherwise, it's not a small project. Is there any reason why this application just couldn't wait until the IDA is satisfied? Since it's a retroactive IDA, it can't take a long time to get it done.
No, it was just the,
Just tell me. I mean,
it was,
You know,
it was,
it's
well,
the- it's the
it was
same end
mostly
effect.
just wanting to get going on the deck while, his wife is home on maternity leave. Have
okay,
the deck.
That's a good answer. That's kind of what we're looking for, stuff like that. I don't know.
Now, when was this patio built?
When?
Pretty
So
recent.
we started this project in the autumn last year. It was finished in April. We hired a contractor. We asked him to get all the permits. He informed us that the patio does not require any permits, so we green-lighted the project. Once we started, we hired Peter for the deck. We started the permit application. We realized that we actually needed the permit for the patio. So once we found it out last week, we immediately contacted the previous contractor to fix the situation, but obviously it will take some time.
So why? So this is recent history as compared to the shed we talked about in the first discussion tonight, which was sometime between 2001, 2005, when it appeared. This one's far more recent. But why couldn't we handle it as an enforcement order just like we did on the other? Why couldn't we, as opposed to an RDA? The RDA is just a bunch of
We
paperwork.
could handle it as an enforcement order, absolutely. The enforcement order would probably require them to file an RDA to submit after the fact, which is what they're already in the process of doing. So you could certainly issue the enforcement order to ensure it gets done, but, yes.
So it's, all the work on that patio is done.
Yes.
Nothing further to be done.
So would it be acceptable to do an EO that requires an as-built?
Come into compliance and have an as-built.
And come into compliance and put it on an as-built through an EO? It would help the homeowner to get it done more quickly, and it would certainly help you guys in the office with paperwork. I don't know, I'm just
Yep, and,
putting it out there.
Filing an RDA is only gonna cost
Yeah, plan would be
a
needed.
couple of weeks' worth of hearings, and then a decision, and then the next step beyond that, where we just issue an enforcement order tonight,
'Cause
they're well on the way of getting there.
What's the enforcement order gonna do?
it's gonna get us an as-built plan.
Bring the
So we'll have a
patio
record.
into compliance and submit an as-built plan at the completion of
Showing that it's
compliance.
How are you gonna bring it into compliance with, it's within the, you say it's within the 50 feet?
No, it's outside the
It's already
50.
outside, it already complies.
So you just wanna slap them on the
So
wrist
we
for
end up with
not
as-built.
applying?
It's not slapping anybody. What the record needs is an as-built plan. That's the key to everything we do. So the next time somebody comes in, we have a record.
Think about this, an RDA requires a plan,
Yep.
and an as-bilt's gonna require a plan, so why don't we just order a plan
Just
and be
order a
done with
plan,
it?
yeah.
Be done with it.
Yep. Let's just keep it simple
Help 'em
here,
out.
you know? We'll help them out, we're helping out our staff.
Typically, we do issue an EO to do an RDA, after-the-fact RDA for something like this. And I think that's the right approach, personally. I don't want to slow these guys down, though, by holding this project up, because, a patio like that, within the 100 feet, that should have got caught by the Form U process.
No permit.
No permit.
Contractor never came in for
No
one.
Form U, no permit.
No permit, no contractor never came in for a permit.
That's,
Didn't
Land-
need a building
one.
permit.
Didn't need a building permit, they don't think conservation permit, they just don't
That's true.
know.
I mean, that's what he meant by no permits required. There's no building permit, because it's not high enough off the ground.
There was
to require
nothing to
one.
trigger the Form U discussion.
well, we could have that conversation, but not tonight. We
Landscapers should
could,
know.
we could absolutely have that conversation, but I'm not gonna, these guys want to get out of here, so do
Okay,
we.
relative to the small project that's before us, do I hear a motion?
I'm sorry, say it again?
Relative to the small project that's before us tonight,
Okay, look,
do I hear a motion?
I understand what you're asking for. Does anybody object to the small project going before the RDA or EO, whatever it is?
Where there's no physical non-compliance, it's only a permitting non-compliance, I'm okay with it.
Because standing alone, if you let this thing stand on its own, it absolutely is a small project. When you blur it with all the other stuff, it's
no longer.
It's a little messy.
If somebody makes a motion to approve it.
Well, before I
then
make the
know what
motion,
you're saying.
before I make the
I'm okay
motion, I
with
want to know that I'm not going to get hit over the head up here on the table.
It's not a physical.
If somebody doesn't want it, they'll vote against it, and they'll know you got hit.
Easy there, easy
Either
there.
that or
Easy there, Killen.
make a motion not to do it.
I'll move that we consider NACC number 146 to be a small project consistent with letter A, new form.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I move that we approve NACC number 146 as proposed, pre and post, standing on its own.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Any action on the EL?
Now, you're not free to go yet. We have to talk about the enforcement order for the patio that's been built. It seems that what we are looking for is an as-built drawing of that patio, so we know exactly where it is on a site plan, and that the issuance of an enforcement order would require that. And I suspect, one thing what we could do is I don't know how you feel, but once this deck is built, show both on the plan.
Exactly what I was thinking. Just where I was gonna go.
So in other words, wait till the deck is built. You're going to do that immediately, I assume?
Yes.
So get the deck built, then have the as-built drawing, which will show the patio, where that is, and it will also show the deck.
Okay.
So we have all that information on
In the record, single plus.
certified by a surveyor, or since we're not clear any property lines, an engineer could do the same thing.
RPE or an RPLS, somebody with a stamp.
Okay, so you want that in the form of a motion, because that was a recommendation you made.
That's a recommendation.
So I move that we direct the conservation staff to issue an enforcement order to the homeowner to have prepared and submitted to us an as-built plan depicting the patio and the new deck in accordance with as-built condition specifications in our
Do
bylaw.
the plan after the deck is built, in case there are
Would
modifications.
you consider adding the staff to the process? Not just pre and post, but I want staff to monitor the whole process. Sorry, but
On the enforcement order.
I want them on the ground when anything's going on. Okay, just because. Sorry.
Okay, do I have Joe moved it, second?
As amended?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you very much. We'll talk tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay. The next small project is NACC 148, 625 Boxford Street. And this is
a new homeowner who recently purchased this house. And she is looking to fence in the existing lawn. So she wants to put a fence up for her dogs, basically. The existing lawn, the house was originally built and with an order of conditions, received a certificate of compliance back in '87. And I couldn't find anything that's changed on Air Hill since then. Doesn't look like the lawn's the same, everything's the same. The wetland, and I have photos that you guys will need to see, comes up near the driveway. So this line is where she wanted to put the fence, but the wetland's over here, and this gets way too close. The steps come down here, and this is a more reasonable location. So this is the side of the house, the area here.
Okay.
This is where she would like to fence it, because it's the existing lawn, there's a walkway, she wanted to put a gate there. It gets too close to the wetland, and I don't know how you guys are gonna feel about that. The stairs right here are actually about 25 feet, unfortunately, and the only way for dogs to come and go is there. But a more reasonable location would be to fence it right across the top of that, and it would be about, even this corner is about 20, it's funky from the angle, but it's about 20 feet away just in this corner. I don't know if I can keep her. help her keep posts out of the 25 or something like that, but,
So that stairway is back in this corner here
Yep.
somewhere?
yep,
And
and it's the only way out the back. so
this
it's
is the
down
actual,
there.
so if we told them to get no closer than 25, is that what you're asking?
If you told
even
them
though
to
there's
get no
already
closer
land?
than 25, it would be at the steps, and there would be no way to come down and get out into the yard.
Okay.
So it's a little bit, and I'm not.
But it's a
familiar
fence,
with-
it's a fence.
It's a fence.
It's a
yeah,
fence.
And it's an existing lawn from.
Existing lawn from 87.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so you've
it's
done it
legit.
before.
Yeah, it's a fence.
We're all
So-
set, we're all set.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's the setback from the closest setback from the fence to the wetland line?
The existing, to fence the existing lawn from 87 would be about, the closest point would actually get to about 5 feet away from the wetland, because it comes right off the driveway. So where she would like to put it in the photos I showed you, out to the driveway, would be about 5 feet, about 5.5 feet from the edge of the wetland.
But the proposal that's before us right now,
So
what's the
an
closest
alternative, the only alternative that's feasible because of the way the steps come out the deck
Yeah.
would be to go across the top of the existing wall out there, as shown on the photos.
And what is
Gate
that
to the fence would
setback?
be at the top of the steps.
Yep, and that would be about, the closest point would be about 20 feet in the corner.
Okay, so the request is to put a fence within the 25-foot no disturb zone?
With an existing lawn of,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
There-
okay.
there's
I
no
just want to get it
alternative.
straight,
Yep.
that's all, because there's no setbacks on this plan or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah,
The
there's no
as-built plan
distances at
from
all.
87 was just not, it was so faint you could hardly see anything. And it didn't show very much but a box.
No, there's no.
Are you missing the small
There's no, the only thing we got was the photo.
It's another missed
We didn't get the app or anything.
copy.
Yeah, we didn't get that.
I have the application here.
I have one in front of me, however. I do have a new form in front of me.
EH.
Yeah, letter H, yeah. Fence is still on, no,
Yep.
waterfall.
So this is the application checklist as it came in.
So the application is under an H, okay,
Yep.
all right. Right. What are you recommending, Heidi? You're gonna be the one out there.
I recommend,
I mean, I'm dumping it on you, kid, sorry.
I recommend that staff assist her with keeping the fence
Location.
in the best location possible.
That's not fair for Gal, just in these favors for
Oh, come on, absolutely, it's totally fair.
That's all right.
So, I hear there's a feasible alternative, but that, in my eye, that would result in them providing a separation of about 20 feet, still within the 25, except it is a pre-existing lawn dating back to 87.
Which hasn't
So which would
changed.
leave the outside of the fence no man's land, which would be ridiculous. So I think to deny them the use of the yard that they've enjoyed since 87 is just not what the small project was intended to do. So even though there is a reasonable alternative, I'm not necessarily thinking it's appropriate. In my opinion, it's not appropriate in this case. Because Sean just gave me, he's going to ruin my show. He's going to want the fence on the roof.
Here's where I was going with it. I wasn't trying to be punitive towards either the applicant or Heidi. What I was simply trying to do was, we don't actually have a plan that shows post location. We don't have an engineered plan that has setbacks on it that shows the posts are going here, here, here. I would be more comfortable, I have no objection granting the fence.
Okay.
I have no objection with the fence. So what I'm saying is, let's just do the best we can and let our staff help her with fence post location.
Well, what you want to be careful of is that
I mean,
if Heidi lets it get within 3 or 4 or 5 feet, and half of this commission says that's exactly what I heard, and the other half of the commission says, I thought we were putting it at the top of the stairs. I don't want to put Heidi in the middle of that, saying that, she picked the wrong choice.
okay, so then
So let's be clear on where we want it to be.
we can't be clear.
Well,
There's
I
no
mean,
plan.
What's the applicant
there's no
say
way to
about
be
the
clear.
location of the
Limit of
fence?
lawn.
I'm sorry?
Limit of lawn. That's what they were proposing, right?
Rather subjective, limit of lawn.
Yes, originally the proposal was from the side of the house to the limit of the existing lawn over to the driveway.
That's the proposal.
That is the ideal proposal.
Yeah, I see it, yep, I
But
see it.
that brings it within the 3 feet in the
They're
nearest
very close.
location.
So-
5, yep.
5 feet.
There's nothing wrong with that versus this.
But it's the existing lawn from
This is,
87,
what
so,
seems to me a little bit more.
which hasn't changed. And there's
this
no
would be a
violations
better
out there.
Solution.
Which one? Which one?
This one here.
The long
would
line
be
out
better.
here?
No, not that.
This thing here?
This seems to be, in my opinion, a ridiculous location to put the fence.
Yeah.
I think this would be a better location for it,
Well,
to end it there.
Which one?
Well, that's what I'm driving at, is make sure we give, if we're gonna
But
allow
I
this
don't
to
know
be
what the
staffed, tell them what we want.
what's the applicant want as far as the location of the fences?
I prefer to do it as I originally proposed, with the fence, decorative fence across the front of the driveway to the edge of the existing lawn, and then across the back perimeter. Give the dogs a little more room.
you don't want the dogs to be able to get onto the driveway. You want to segregate the driveway, right? Right?
Right.
You would
Right.
prefer the.
I get it. I get
You know,
it.
this is, who drew this line on here? Did you, Heidi? You did. One of the problems that I see is gonna be is when the fence builder goes out there, I assume you're gonna hire a contractor to put the fence up for you.
It's actually arrow fence from Marlboro.
They're gonna come in and they're gonna, where you want the fence, and it's gonna be over here, right along the edge of the grass, the edge of the, right to the, which is gonna be even closer to the wetlands than, well, this is, I mean, there's nothing in here that
Well, there's going to
clearly defines the wetlands or clearly defines the edge of grass, like,
Usually we, when we vote these, usually we have a pre and post inspection. So I think that could be resolved at the
Well, I
pre-construction.
think it can be, I just wanna make sure that if we're giving direction to Heidi, that it's satisfying all of us and not making her choose which line is it that we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too far down the road here, because I don't think this is a small project at all. It's clearly a waiver request to put it within the 25-foot no disturb zone. That's clear in the bylaw. I do not see this at all
small project.
as a small project. This is an RDA.
I think one of the things, the small project, and I know it's been revised, but said is that you can't do a small project when you need a waiver request.
You've actually said that 3 times today, this is a waiver, you're right.
that's the case.
Without saying the words, this is a request for a waiver.
It's approvable, just not as a small project.
Right.
So under those
And I think,
circumstances.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to say, I think it would serve the applicant better to do it right, to carefully pick it out, to plot it out accurately on a plan and have it be an RDA, because you'll probably be happier with the outcome. The small
I want to
project.
do whatever is the right thing to do. I have a little urgency problem that I kind of have to get out of my house with the dogs. I have another house that I'm trying to sell.
Okay.
So how long does that process typically take?
I jump on it as quickly as possible, and actually Heidi can give you some,
Submit this Friday, you'll be on the agenda in 2 weeks.
but she can't. She's,
That's if they were ready to go with an application.
This
The agenda
Friday.
on the 10th, you need this Friday?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's
2
impossible.
days, yeah.
So it's a month. So it's a month.
But she can give you some resources, people to, lists to go to, resources to contact, get started on this. The sooner you start, the sooner you finish.
Okay.
Sorry.
You see, the problem is, if you go within 25 feet of a wetland, you need something called a waiver. And small projects, by their nature, aren't allowable if you need to request a waiver.
So you've got an emergency situation, you might need a stopgap answer. So to make this a small project, have it not require a waiver. Can you put this fence anywhere on your property that maintains 50 feet away from that wetland line?
25?
25 feet away from the wetland line, and give yourself enough security for the animals to be able to secure them? Maybe it's big enough for a long time, maybe it buys you a couple years, or maybe it buys you that month that you need to come in and get the bigger permit. you might be able to get something that is a small project that we can discuss tonight.
As long as she stays out of the notice.
Stay out of the 25.
Stay out of the 25. And that's a small project, and that can be approved right now.
Part of the problem is gonna be that your rear exit from the house is those stairs, right? So you'd let the dog in and out via those stairs.
Yeah, because the garage is the only egress in the lower level, so,
Other than the front door, which is,
right, that's a bit of
which
a
is not
problem.
gonna be fenced in.
Right,
So the problem is gonna be, there's no exit from the house at the rear.
right.
So the problem is where you gonna put the fence.
What about a temporary fence? Snow fence? Dogs small enough to be contained?
3 of them, no.
They big dogs?
2 are, one's small,
Just trying.
but
Just trying to help.
I appreciate that very much.
Trying to make it get through this as fast as you can, and it seems like we're coming into obstacles though.
I appreciate your efforts.
Temporary break in the handrail and stairs down to the other side of the deck that would get you into the wider side of the yard. We could do that. I don't know. Actually, you could make those permanent.
Now, the fence over here, Heidi, that you got drawn in, what's the closest to the wetland line? Does that go? Did you measure it?
It's about 20 feet at the
20
corner.
feet?
At the corner
drop stairs.
At what corner, at the rear corner?
of where the fence
I
is
assume
drawn.
this is gonna be squared off rather than round, like you got shown.
It kind of follows the curve where the lawn is.
Why can't the fence come across like that if you need something to get 25 feet?
Because the way the wetland is out there measuring, the way the stairs come down in the photos, the stairs come down at the 25. So there's a set of stairs right here,
Right
which is
there,
about 5 more
okay.
feet away,
Okay.
so there's no way to get the fence past that without,
This shouldn't be before us.
So the corner of the stairs is within 25 feet?
the corner of the stairs is about 25 feet, exactly.
So there's no leeway at all.
No, you're not back far enough.
Well, relative to this small project request, is there a motion? What I'm hearing people say, that it's going to be a motion to deny.
It is, that's why I said, can you just withdraw it and refile?
We could deny it, but it really should just be withdrawn. I mean, really, it's just.
Small
not-
project doesn't have
it's-
anything with
it's-
prejudice.
We
so
don't have
just
anything
withdraw
that,
it.
I understand.
in other words, we'd be making it up.
Yep.
We'd be inventing our own rules here tonight.
No, I completely understand.
Um,
So if I can figure out a way to get it past the 25 feet, do I still need the small project permit?
The answer is yes, and if that's the case, you're not withdrawing this application, and our vote will be
You'd ask for a continuance.
asked to
If you're looking
continue it.
If you're looking to modify the drawing, if you think there's a way of putting that fence in so that it is no closer than 25 feet, and it suits your needs for allowing the animals a place to roam, then the best bet would be to withdraw this evening, figure out what that point is, and then come back at the next meeting to resolve it. Now, if it turns out you can't get something that's no closer than 25 feet, then
I think there's a more assertive way we can do this, and let me offer this in the form of a motion and see if it flies. Actually, can't do it because we have to consider it a small project or not. But if we were to consider it a small project, then my motion would look like to grant permission with the following conditions, is that the fence not be any closer than 25-foot no disturbance zone, and then pre and post inspections by the staff.
That could be a reasonable.
And just simply
put-
make them comply at 25-foot
And
notice?
then the requirement would be for the staff to monitor the situation to verify that that's the case.
That way you guys can find that line and you've got the permit tonight.
Then you get it to.
And I could figure out something temporary to do and then come back for the RDA.
Well,
If it's something that you need it, though, you might not have.
Well, no, what I'm saying is I'd find a way to do something temporary
Yeah.
that meets the 25-foot requirement,
If-
and then, over the long term, come back.
if you find something that's at least 25 feet away, and that solution is not satisfactory to you as a fence location, that you want to keep it there, then you would come back,
Right.
use that temporarily, and then come back and
Right.
say, I want a modification.
Right,
to it."
that's
And that would be
exactly-
your decision at that time.
Okay, thank you.
So I got a motion.
Any opposition to the
To-
approach I'm choosing?
I mean, I'd rather see you just continue and have her come back in 2 weeks with a new plan in front of us, rather than creating a kind of precedent where we're giving people a condition that they haven't presented, they haven't presented us with a plan on how they're going to do it, where they're going to do it, and then to give them permission to do it without having really seen it, I think is setting kind of a bad precedent. But the thing is, if it continues, then she doesn't have to wait a month. She just has to wait another 2 weeks. Does that work with you? If you come back and in 2 weeks from now, you show us something that shows this outside the 25-foot, and then we can vote on something that we've actually seen, rather than just throwing caution into the wind, perhaps?
I could, I'd just really like to get it done so I can get my other house listed, because I'm paying 2 mortgages right now.
We, unfortunately, we don't get to rule based upon the individual circumstances of the applicants, but tell me a little bit about what your situation is. How does having a fence affect your paying 2 mortgages?
Well, I don't want to list my other house until I get the 3 dogs out of it, because it's not a good way to get the house sold. So I purchased this house in April so that I could get them out. And, I had a fence guy come out, a reputable one, give me an estimate, and then I found out I needed the permit, so came to get the permit, and I'm just trying to get everything done as fast as I can so I can get the other house listed, get it sold, and I can't move into this house yet because of the dogs.
I assume that the house you're selling has got a fenced-in area or
Oh,
something.
yep,
So the dogs are happy there.
yep.
Okay.
The realtor's not, but the dogs are.
Well,
I mean, the only suggestion I can offer to you is to put in a temporary kennel of some sort on your new property that's outside of the 25, a temporary kennel that could contain the dogs, and then do a good job on your plan for your fence, make the fence a nice project, and, something that'll complement your lot. Temporary kennels are easy, they're everywhere.
Or snow fence. I mean, I've got 2 big dogs, and right now we have, orange snow fencing, keeping them in their area because we're doing work on a different part of our house. And if you want to show us where you want to put an orange snow fence, we could approve that.
I don't think snow fence, unfortunately, would work. I have one who's a digger, and she'll be out of there like that, and then she'll be smushed on
So
Boxford
you might
Street.
just want to consider the temporary kennels
Yeah.
that are made of chain link, that you can put them out in them, they're outside. I know it's not the perfect solution, but
Yeah.
they're certainly humane, and they give the animals a chance to get outside. And then you can get your deal done, and get the other house sold. The cost of the kennel versus the sale of the house, I think, hopefully it's a no-brainer for you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the 2 mortgage piece isn't exactly great either, so, yeah, I'm all about get it done. And I do want to do this right. I don't want to Mickey Mouse this.
Why don't you agree to a continuance till our next meeting, and then you can figure out a temporary solution and then come in with
Okay.
a better plan, because we're not
Okay.
gonna, I don't think we're gonna solve it for you tonight.
Okay.
All
I
right?
appreciate everything that you did.
So, I'll move that we continue this matter till the next meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks. For the file.
Okay, now we have some requests for determination. First one is 90 Boston Street, Beasley.
Are there any requests for continuances for the rest of the agenda that we should dispense with? So,
Uh,
50 Royal Crest.
They look,
Salem Village, 172 will actually need to discuss, but I haven't gotten a new plan, so it'll actually have to,
1651, 1634, and 1635 are all requests to continue?
not coming to the agenda, but have they made a request to continue?
which ones you just
The
said?
Royal Crest projects.
And Old
Yes.
Salem Village.
Royal Crest, he requested a continuance to June 10th.
So
So-
moved.
Second.
And that's for 242-1634 and 242-1635.
That's what my second was for.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, those two are continued.
You said Old Salem Village was
Old
requested?
Salem Village is on there, but we haven't seen anything, and I don't believe anyone's present, so it
They were
would
the
need,
one-
Jen had suggested it continue.
They haven't made any requests yet?
He came into the office to discuss and look at what others have done recently to close out
Why
what
don't we,
needs to be
why don't we
done.
wait till we get to it then?
Okay.
In case they show up. They might show up.
Everything else is
Okay.
good to go?
Laconia Circle is continuing. We did get the as-bills, but the attorney wasn't available tonight.
So I'll move that,
Those two of them there, right?
Two PCOCs, yep, two file numbers,
257.
same project.
257 and 333.
Yep.
So we move to continue to June 10th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's 5 out of the way.
That's good.
Okay. Now, we have 90 Boston Street, ready to go. Okay, would you want to explain your project?
It needs to be read.
Oh, yeah.
Pursuant to the authority of the Wetlands Protection Act, Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended, in the North Andover Wetland Protection Bylaw, the North Andover Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, May 27, 2015, at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Meeting Room, second floor, located at 120 Main Street, North Andover, Massachusetts. For the filing of a request for determination of applicability by applicant Brian Beasley to alter land at 90 Boston Street, map 107B, parcel 28, North Andover, Massachusetts, for the purpose of installation of an above-ground pool with associated grading within the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland. Plans are available at the Conservation Commission Office, 1600 Osgood Street, Suite 2035, by Louis Napoli, Chairman.
So this is for an above-ground pool. The wetlands were delineated, the wetland line has been reviewed and confirmed. The above-ground pool is about 67 feet at its closest. There is one tree that needs to be removed. Aside from that, there's very little grading that will be needed. It's a pretty flat area. It's existing lawn. No violations on the site. The filter, we did discuss the filter with the applicant, and as you can see, what they gave him is that it's a cartridge-style filter. I'm not familiar with pool filters, but the paperwork that he got, and he already has this pool and filter, is that it is a cartridge. But we did discuss with him that if any backwashing, anything like that would need to be done, it would have to be done outside the 100-foot, but he has plenty of room to be out of the 100-foot should he need to be.
Okay, is there any excavation involved in construction of this above-ground pool?
Just some minor grading, as far as I know, just to level out the area.
tree going to be stumped?
We're gonna pull the stump.
Pull it?
Yep.
Some good big. So, yeah, you're going to stump it. If you pull it out,
Okay.
pull the stumps with it. Okay. Any questions, Joe?
Yeah, the wetland line and the distances to the edge of the pool that are shown on the mortgage survey plan, is that something you're comfortable with?
Yep, we were both out and did some measuring and checked on some things. He had stakes in the ground as to where the pool was gonna go, and we measured and we were comfortable with the measurements shown.
And it's only because it's such a great distance away that I would even consider it reasonable, but, a mortgage survey plan doesn't cut it for an RDA submission. Definitely not for an NOI. But as long as you're comfortable that the distance is far enough away. And to look at the backyard, it's already, it's an improved backyard area anyway, with the exception of the one tree that's coming out, right?
Yep, it's lawn anyways, and the wetland was flagged.
So even if he was off by a lot, he's still 67 feet away, and he's not going to get within the 50.
It's not gonna get within the 50, and the flags that are out there, we measured from, so.
Seems like we're walking on the dangerous side tonight, but I'm okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with the project. I just have a problem with the plan. An RDA is supposed to be a 1/20 scale plan, suitable to be an as-built for the file when the project is completed. The whole idea behind that is so if the house gets sold in 10 years and he moves, and the next guy comes in, we have a record of what happened. And, this isn't a record. I mean, it's suitable to get construction going, but what I'm going to ask for is, I want an as-built at the end of this project. I'm just absolutely, this stuff, the checklist prohibits this.
It seems to me, to your point, if this comes in as a part of an application, it should not be accepted by the commission.
Well, I don't want to,
As an
I'm
acceptable
not saying to
application.
send the guy packing. I'm simply saying that, yes, there's a checklist, and the checklist says what the acceptable.
No, I agree, but what I'm
So-
saying is it should never have gotten to this point. It should have stopped at the office, and they
trying
should
to-
have sent them back for another plan.
I'm trying to control myself here. So anyway, the area where the pool's going now is grass. So you're going to scrape that grass, and you're going to put some sand down under it. The pool's not going to sit on grass. It's an above-ground pool. It's got a vinyl, it doesn't have a solid bottom, so that's going to be scraped up. So where are you going to get, what are they going to do with the stuff that comes out? Where is it going to be stockpiled?
It's actually gonna go right to the left of the house. There's a kind of a ditch in the,
So you're proposing to take the topsoil and the grass and remove it and put it into a ditch somewhere on the left side of the house, as I'm looking at it on the plan?
yes.
Is the ditch is it somewhere near where it says 30 feet, or is it somewhere near it says 52 feet, or?
It's about where that arrow is, right, about where that dotted line is.
Approximately where the dotted line is?
Yep.
All right, so that's going to be something that's going to have to be dealt with on site, on a pre-construction meeting? The ditch is going to have to be identified and called out, and it's going to have to be picked up on your as-built plan when the project's done? If you propose to stockpile or backfill or anything, we need to know where it's going, okay? No other questions, I'm all set.
Okay.
Heidi, are you familiar with the ditch that the applicant talks about?
Yeah, there's
Does it,
an area next to the house. It's beyond 100 feet by quite a bit, but I didn't spend much time, but I did see it.
my only concern is it might serve a function to, direct water to somewhere, yeah. And if we're interrupting that wouldn't work to the interests of,
Yeah,
or?
Yeah, it's not really a conveyance of,
It may not be quite a ditch, more just uncleared land right up to the
Where the
house.
lawn
It just
was.
has like a valley to it.
pushed way back when.
So at a pre-construction meeting, you can check it out and just make sure it's not detrimental to the flow of anything, and
Is the 25-foot no disturb being not disturbed? Is there a buffer zone of 25 feet from the wetland flags?
In most areas, except for the corner near flag 6 and 7, the existing lawn is probably just a bit shy of 25 in that area.
So that is a violation. You said there are no violations on the,
Well, the existing lawn it's not, it's been there since this house predates. There's no,
well, I would
the
want to
lawn
get,
hasn't expanded in a long time, but if
Yep.
you're looking to,
I would like to get that back. I'd like to, if we're going to approve this project as an RDA, I would like to make sure that the 25-foot is preserved and not disturbed, and put up some markers along there,
yeah, we'll discuss markers.
and let it revegetate. That's all I have.
Do I hear a motion?
Is that something you're comfortable with?
Can you explain that again?
She said that around flag 6 or 7 on that plan that you have in front of us, you're supposed to stay 25 feet away from the wetland, and that you've been, I don't know, is it mowed?
Yeah, the lawn's been,
You-
where Jennifer was pointing to where the flags are a little closer,
Right,
that area.
okay.
We want you to stay 25 feet away from that area, away from the whole wetland line.
You want the lawn to stay 25 feet away?
Yeah. Yeah, just,
Okay.
right, not mow it. And so
Okay.
what we're proposing is, we have these little placards that go up on trees. If there's not a tree to put it, right, if there's not a tree to put up there, then you put it on a 2x4 or 4x4 post,
Okay,
so that it tells you and, subsequent purchasers that you can't go and mow that, and you can't take care of it.
okay.
that's something that will be picked up on the as-built plan I was talking about, that 25-foot no disturb zone would be identified.
Right.
And then you would then orient yourself to where that is on the ground, and we would direct you to put up some markers and direct you to not maintain that area anymore.
Okay.
Just basically to stay out of it. Let it just go back to the way, whatever it's going to turn into.
Right.
Won't take long.
It won't take long.
Okay, we have a motion?
Yeah, I move that we consider the RDA for 90 Boston Street as a negative with the following conditions: that pre and post condition be inspected by our administrators in our office, that they also identify the soil dumping location for any spoils when they prepare the site for the above-ground pool, that the 25-foot no disturb zone be preserved along the entire length of the wetland line, especially in the area, the vicinity of flags 6 and 7. And marked with wetland markers. And that when construction is complete, an as-built plan be generated by the applicant and submitted to the Conservation Department as a condition to complete the project.
Jack, if I may, that the as-built plan be stamped by either an RPLS or an RPE.
Agreed.
Well, with
I
accordance
want it
with
to
our
be-
regulations, in accordance with the
I
regulations.
just want it to be,
In accordance with the regulations.
thank you.
A wise man once told me that if you have to have more than 3 conditions to an RDA, it's not an RDA.
You know,
But
that wise man is keeping his mouth shut right now.
We all took the same class when they,
Yep, we sure did.
all right. I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nothing. Okay, you're all set.
Thank you. Thank you, Heidi.
Okay. Request for determination of applicability for 165 Flagship Drive. This is Comcast.
Pursuant to the Authority for Wetlands Protection Act, Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended, and the North Andover Wetland Protection Bylaw, the North Andover Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, May 27, 2015, at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Meeting Room, second floor, located at 120 Main Street, North Andover, Massachusetts, for the filing of a request for determination of applicability by applicant Comcast Dave Flelwelling to alter land at 165 Flagship Drive, map 25, parcel 75, North Andover, Massachusetts, for the purpose of the installation of 398 feet of PVC conduit within the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland. Plans are available with the Conservation Commission Office, 1600 Osgood Street, Suite 2035, by Louis Napoli, Chairman.
Thank you, Sean. Okay, you should tell us what you're proposing to do.
Sure. My name's Claire Staines. I work with LEC Environmental Consultants. I'm here on behalf of John Morrison, who submitted the RDA. Dave Llewellyn from Comcast with me as well. We are here for the request for the determination of applicability for the installation of a cable conduit and associated equipment within Flagship Drive. The wetland resource areas adjacent to the project include bordering vegetated wetland and ephemeral pool. Work will be done within previously paved roadway and only within the buffer zone to the aforementioned resource areas. The work includes approximately, as you said, 398 linear feet of excavation, approximately 2 feet wide by 30 inches deep. The trench will then be filled with PVC pipe, and then will be backfilled. No open trenches will be left overnight. Erosion controls will include staked straw wattles along the bordering vegetated wetlands and filter bags to protect the catch basins. Overall, the work should not result in altering or result in adverse effect to any of the adjacent wetland resource areas.
You've got a plan with yours.
You guys don't have one in the IDA? I do. It's smaller scale, but
I printed an extra couple. They don't have color.
Let's see how the discussion goes.
Let's see if
this
the
came
questions
in-
Let's not talk about something that's ragtime, I probably don't.
If the questions match up, then we'll always confirm.
Yes. Willow Street will come next.
Yeah, you should have had plans, no?
Wetland lines are very deep there, so I apologize about that.
so the Willow Street is not the
It's
plan?
not included with this. We'll go over that one next.
So I don't have the right plan, I'm sorry. I don't.
That's why he said.
Oh, he was just guessing from earlier today.
Looking at the wrong one, huh?
Can we ask questions out of order? It says proposed vault, so the vault that you refer to in your narrative is not there. You're constructing a vault, right? Or
Correct.
installing a vault?
Installing, yes.
Okay, I got the impression from reading the narrative that the vault was already there.
But the way Comcast refers to a vault, it's just a,
Oh,
it's a
okay, so it's
handhold,
connecting
right?
to an existing vault, but there
Existing
will
vault.
be proposed vaults involved with the project. So to the, I guess, to the east of the project.
Well, so how many vaults are you
That vault's
proposing?
existing.
The one that
It
says...
looks like there's going to be one proposed vault.
So I'm looking at the bottom left of the plan, it says
Yes.
proposed 24 by 36 vault.
That
This
one's
one down
proposed.
here.
Yep, that's proposed.
Yeah,
So how many proposed? How many?
just one.
Just one proposed vault? Okay. Awesome.
Okay.
So you had said it was all within existing pavement, not in the gravel shoulder, it's in the pavement itself.
Yes.
And you're proposing straw wattles along the areas where you're getting near the wetland areas, or on this particular application, it's on the other side of the road?
Exactly.
Other side of the road. Okay. I am just curious, 'cause, I mean, a lot of times we'll see on a subdivision, shared conduit bank coming in, but there's already other utilities out there. Is Comcast coming down the street for the first time, and everybody else is already underground?
Yes, it's already underground, and we're coming from that existing vault, and the reason that we're in the street is because there seems to be some sort of some ledge there, and there's already existing power and telephone in the grass. That's why we pushed the installation out into the street a bit, because we didn't know how deep power and telephone is going to be there, so that's why we pushed it out into the street.
And the reason why I was asking about the other utilities is, a lot of times, one of our missions is to minimize the impacts, and one of those minimizations is repetition. So if Comcast is proposing, I wanted to make sure that we weren't going to hear a Verizon request. I hate to say Comcast and Verizon in the same sentence, but I just did. And then, the electric company to come in, thereafter. But they're already underground. They're already out here. So you guys coming in solo on this. Okay, I'm all set.
So structures. You have existing structures and just one new one. And the structures are going to be surface or subterranean?
They're going to be flush with the ground, they're vaults.
Flush with the ground, typical
Yes.
like electrical handhole, conduit, pipe and wire?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all set. All set.
Is this project exempt as a utility project?
No, it's a new installation. It's not a maintenance of an existing facility. They're putting in new stuff. It's not exempt if it's new. This is new. It's not exempt if it's new. It will be exempt if they were maintaining an existing, as long as they didn't expand it.
Okay.
So they're not exempt.
What's the status of the ephemeral pool?
It was not listed as even a PVP by Natural Heritage. It was just something that during our field site reconnaissance saw the standing water there and took initiative to flag it.
So we know it's a wetland, but what about our, Heidi, what about any guidance from our staff? Is there any
Jennifer reviewed the line.
opinions?
She saw the standing water and agreed that it should have the ephemeral pool, potential ephemeral pool, and that was.
So is it getting the protection, as if it were?
It's having the buffer zones from the habitat as if it were.
Okay.
Oh, do they have the new plan?
We don't have
Copy
any
of the
plan.
I just got, so Jennifer.
The email that I just sent.
Yes, and I apologize. Jen, I know you and Jen were back and forth quite a bit today. And I got new plans at like 6 o'clock. So, and those new plans must have been with the revised buffer zones, which are shown on what I have uploaded with the 75 no build, the 50-foot no disturb from the BVW, not from the limit of the potential ephemeral pool. So it was all corrected on the plan that we just received at 6 o'clock, but I'm not sure if you guys have.
No, we don't have anybody. But we can,
Okay.
it's not a handicap. We can work with what you have.
Yes, it has been clarified, it has been protected, it has been given the buffer zones.
That's important.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, just so I understand it, I see that we have more than a 25-foot setback from the wetland flags.
50 foot.
But the straw wattle will be within the 50-foot no disturb zone to the ephemeral pool. So I understand that the work is within pavement and all that, but is this a waiver request? Sounds like it is.
Yeah, you're doing work within 50 feet, right?
You got a road there, what the heck we need a waiver for?
Because the rules say you need a waiver request. I don't think it'll be an issue, but...
It shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we go through the process. So is that fair to say? You're seeking a...
I understand where you're coming from,
Yeah.
yes.
So you need a waiver. I don't think we have an issue with it. There's a road, so I don't think you get a hard time, but Right, but,
We have to acknowledge it as part of the filing.
Right.
We have to deal with it accordingly.
That's I'm all set.
yeah,
No questions.
me too. I have no problem, but we just got to give them a waiver.
Okay, is there a request for a waiver? Have you made a
Well, one of us is going to have to move it. One of us is going to have to move to grant the waiver before we move to approve the project.
All right, do I hear a motion on a waiver?
I'll offer the waiver. I'll offer the motion on the waiver, and I would move that we grant the waiver for the
Waivers
project.
and RDAs? Yeah.
That I don't know.
Well, again, this is that area where we talked about the conditions on an RDA.
I feel like we couldn't.
I think we should, I think we ought to, and not worry about it, but, I mean, because the debate would then be, is it an IDA or an NOI, and I don't know if we want to have that discussion.
I mean, the reason why I know it isn't for a small project is because Al and I worked on
Right in the
committee that
bylaw.
did that, and
Right,
that's one of the things we wanted to make clear.
Yeah.
But I think RDAs are more generally under the state act.
Well, we have more discretion under the IDA. The MACC has guidelines, and then a lot of it just comes down to the commission. So that being said, I'll offer that motion to grant the waiver.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. You got your waiver. Now, do I hear a motion regarding the request for determination?
Okay. I'm going to follow the recommendations that we have on this one, which is a little bit more complicated than the regular RDA.
I don't understand them.
The recommendation is to deem this RDA a positive 2A to confirm the wetland boundary, and a negative number 5 as a utility exemption in a roadway, and number 6 buffer zone work under the bylaw, which conditions for pre and post construction inspection. So overall, it seems like, I mean, what I think this is saying, and please comment in discussion, that the negative, that the work would be considered on a negative RDA number 5.
Is it fair to say that the plan that you received via email at 6 PM satisfies the positive 2A requirement?
The wetland line was not the issue, it was just the buffer zones. So yes, even the original plan, as far as the wetland line goes, satisfied that
All right,
the
so
wetland
even
line
the
was
motion that
fine.
was just made,
Yep,
it's not any more owners that we've already discussed on that other line.
no, the lines are fine.
When this recommendation came out, it said the plans will be updated tonight. Once corrected, the recommendation was a positive, number 2A.
So one final question under discussion. Will the plan that came out tonight satisfy the requirement for an as-built, or will an as-built need to be updated after this project's done? Because again, because it's new construction, an as-built or something that is a reasonable facsimile of an as-built is really going to be required.
I think similar to what we've done before is after your lines are in, you guys have some type of as-built type where our lines exist. And getting a copy of that, I think, is what has been done in the past.
Well,
Exactly.
I think for that reason, and like I said, there is new construction going on here, so it's really important under that, but also with that ephemeral pool, they're respecting the setback, and I appreciate that, but I think that needs to be documented.
That's what that's what I heard we just got,
And
by conditioning it.
Yep.
Because now the plan has been updated to show the ephemeral pool habitat.
So the final...
And it's, so we're issuing a positive determination on the line as being accurate now,
Yes.
because we got that plan. Yet we're allowing the work to move forward under a negative, the physical work.
Yep.
So I think we've done both.
The proposed plan we have satisfies the buffer zone lines for the ephemeral pool, for the protections. But I know what you're talking about
So
is
you can
where
use
the
that.
actual,
You can use that at the end of the project, when you go out to do your final inspection. If everything matches up exactly, you can use that as your record drawing as-built as well. It just has to be marked accordingly,
For
dated,
future
signed.
filings, we'll know where an ephemeral pool
We need to know where
boundary
everything
was.
is. We want to know where everything is. I mean, the record is everything Otherwise, what we're doing is a waste of time.
Got it. So was that seconded? If not, I will second it.
No, I think it was second, and he just did discussion.
I just discussed.
Okay.
I wanted to discuss.
Now, we have a motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right.
So I actually have the abutter receipts for this. Do you want this, Heidi?
Yep, please.
I think we're still waiting
Did you-
on one.
I was gonna say, I thought we have copies in here, but
Okay.
that's fine.
These are all the originals.
We'll take the
then.
originals, too.
Yeah, okay.
Pursuant to the Authority Wetlands Protection Act, Mass General Law, Section 131 as amended, Section 40 as amended, and the North Andover Wetland Protection Bylaw, the North Andover Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, May 27, 2015, at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Meeting Room, second floor, located at 120 Main Street, North Andover, Massachusetts, for the filing of a request for determination of applicability by applicant Comcast Cable Communications to alter land at Willow Street, North Andover, Massachusetts, for the purpose of installation of plus or minus 1,380 linear feet of cable conduit within buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland. Plans are available to Conservation Commission Office, 1600 Osgood Street, Suite 2035, by Louis Napoli, Chairman.
Okay, now we leave Flagship and go down Willow. Okay.
So essentially, all of the same work is going to be done as explained before, as far as the conduits that are 2 by 30 inches. The difference, obviously, is the location. So we'll be going up Willow Street, as previously mentioned, 1,380 feet approximately. The adjacent resource areas still will include bordering vegetated wetland and ephemeral pool. Along with the ephemeral pool previously discussed with Flagship Drive, there is an additional one flagged within the same wetland area. And all of the work will be done within the buffer zone. There is a portion of work being done within the 25-foot buffer zone between the two wetlands on page 1. Again, all work will be done within previously paved roadway within the Willow Street right-of-way. And the same erosion controls will be utilized, straw wattles along the bordering vegetated wetland boundaries and filter bags within the catch basins.
Okay. Questions, Joe?
I'm remembering a debacle with Verizon a couple years ago,
Not even a couple of years.
and they were just looking to replace conduit, upgrade existing facilities, and they were looking to do projects all along existing streets all over town, and we took them to task, and we're right, I think. And I think the record show we were right to require them to file an NOI. I hate to say it, I think this is an NOI. This is not an RDA. Unless I'm completely missing something on this filing. It's the same type of work with the same limits of wetland, the same proximity, and the type of work being that in the roadway pavement. I don't think it's any different. Am I remembering it incorrectly?
Yeah, no, and the thing, as we mentioned in the other filing, this is new construction. This is not maintenance of existing structures. This is new construction.
I did not bring the regulations, and I should have.
No, they're not exemptions. There's absolutely no exemption.
There's an update with new exemptions.
On new construction?
And now, if it's within existing roadway, it has to be a minimum of 10 feet from wetlands, I believe, the regulations state, and within existing roadway, and there is an exemption.
Is that a new?
Maybe an exemption under the Wetlands Protection Act.
Under the
but not
Wetlands Protection
bylaw.
Act only,
But
not the
under
bylaw. No, not the bylaw. Under the Wetlands Protection Act, though, it is new.
And that's actually, just for the record, that's referenced in our report in the second page, the part of the Wetlands Protection Act where that is from. 10.02 2BI.
Just, yeah, but the bylaw.
Right, exactly. It's not to the bylaw. Top of the second page.
Yeah, good.
And that's the Wetlands Protection Act.
Yeah.
It's open season on putting water mains in too, apparently. Not gonna see another water project come before us.
When were these amendments, is this year's, 2015?
When did they find the issue? What was the,
Yeah, when did-
because it went,
It was
They were
October
gonna come out, was it
2014
October?
was the final
Yeah.
date.
No, good.
we got new copies in like January, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, it took a while to get it in hand, but.
The effective date, yeah.
Yes.
Verizon hired lobbyists after we took them to task, apparently.
Okay, well, I stand corrected. Yeah, they're in compliance with the act. So how do we handle it?
I'm gonna bylaw.
I understand, so how do you handle it?
What do you want to do?
So your intent is to excavate what you can do in a day and cover it every day and pave it every day? So you're gonna be within the, you know, their qualifications of what they call for exemptions?
Well, what they...
Because this is LEC's understanding that it may be, so, I mean, you guys are couching it as well. So, I mean, we're gonna also probably
It is
do,
interpreted, so.
we'll interpret it as well, but we just don't have the advantage of having the reg in front of us to read it. So I'd like to be able to do that. So it is in the roadway, it is in pavement, I should say, and it's, and you're still providing protection. Proposing to provide protections. In the closest location, how close are you? I bet it's not closer than 10 feet.
Yeah, it appears that the closest area is the B series to the east on page 1 and a portion of page 2.
You crossing any drainage structures? I see one location where
There's
you're getting
one-
close to one.
There's a second on, they're both, yeah, it's gonna be one on page 1, and then a second one on page 2 to the right.
So
And then I
those
guess a third
instances,
one as well.
you don't have enough survey information to determine whether, you know, inverts and profile are gonna give you interferences or not. So this is a Comcast question, in those instances where you cross other pipe utilities, are you going over them, under them, or in some instances, I've seen you go through them, but that's not gonna be allowed here. What?
Don't you dare go through.
You tell me you haven't seen it?
Well, I have, I mean, you just tell them.
Typically, we would go over.
Go over, but if you don't have sufficient cover,
And we would have to
you would go
look to
under.
go
And I
under.
guess that becomes the question on drainage structures is, you know, is then how do we protect, you know, the disturbed ground and any movement of water in the, because it's all high water table out here too. You know, what's your dewatering capabilities, and what do you do in those instances when you go deeper than you anticipate? So I see that in that one location up at the, it looks like a leveler between the two sides of the road. You're showing storm filter bags in the basins themselves, but doesn't really tell me that whether you can, you know, what you're gonna do to get under the pipe, which is likely to be the case up there. On page 2,
I'm thinking there may be sufficient coverage there if the existing utilities on the opposite side of the street are over them currently and not under.
You also have this problem, they're crossing sewer lines too.
Have you ever worked on Willow Street before? Have you ever done any work there? So the water table is about at the same level as the street?
in some places. There's no topo on here to really give us that indication, but at least not
It
enough.
does vary a little bit, but not by much. You'd be getting your feet wet, that's for sure.
But these out, there's only the wetland on the one side, up in that area where, I'm on page 1 again, up where the para basins are. There's only wetlands on one side and not on the other. So maybe that isn't a leveler. And if you're on the upstream side, you might be able to get under it without too much trouble. So in those instances, I think what we would do is we'd have to ask for a, more detail of the crossing of those utilities, and then what the construction intent will be to mitigate any groundwater impacts or dewatering impacts. That detail you're showing on the left, that is your dewatering detail? It's just, or is that just a, that's just a catch basin protection detail?
The bottom left corner of the plan?
Well, left
Oh,
side
to the-
center. That's just around the
Yeah, that
grate.
looks like the catch basin.
Just the catch basin side. So I think what the plan lacks simply is just a standard dewatering detail. Give me a place to discharge to. And that way, if you do encounter the groundwater condition in those circumstances, you usually have a detail to show it. I'm all set otherwise.
I guess, are we talking about closing this tonight? Or is this going to?
This is a request.
I don't think we've gotten there yet.
I know what it is, but are we satisfied with everything so far? I mean, I'm just asking, I'm not going to try to keep it open if nobody else wants to. I'm just more interested in getting information on 310 CMR 10.02, parentheses 2. I appreciate what you wrote on your page 2, where it says it's LEC's understanding that the proposed work may be exempt from regulation under the WPA in accordance with that CMR. And you put some information in there, and I believe what you put in there is accurate. I would just like to see the whole.
Read it in context.
Yeah, I'd like to see it all.
Joe's also asking for more information to be on the plans,
Okay.
detailed information, so it sounds to me, the question is, it may be exempt under the Wetlands Protection Act, but not necessarily
But
the local bylaw.
if it's an exempt activity, I'd like to know that. I don't want to not understand
Well, that's
the
verbiage
CMR.
directly from the wetlands regs.
It's paraphrased. I'd like to see the whole.
It is. I actually have printed them out, or at least that specific.
You printed out a portion of it.
A portion of it, yes.
And I appreciate it. I see it. I see what
So-
you've done, and I don't question what you've put there. I would just like to see the whole thing.
Okay.
And I think we probably have that at our office, I'm guessing. Probably, right? So
Yes,
yeah, so you could.
copies.
I would think so.
So you could just send it to me electronically.
Checking it online.
You could send it to me electronically, or I can look it up next time I'm figuring out how to turn the computer on. Yeah, if you just send me that section, that'd be great. I would appreciate it very much.
Because there's several different things in there, like.
I just want to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think there was some questions about the wetland line too, in between flags B1 and B9. Was that discussed and resolved, like in the past day or so?
Yes, I actually spoke with Jennifer about it, and in the plans that have been updated, I think these are more recent plans after our discussion. There were two flags that essentially bypassed the culvert within the B series, so we just had them connect to the culvert as they were intended to in the field. So you can see in the zoom in. So now they include the culvert there. I think the other concern that Jennifer and Heidi had was between B9 and B8. There appeared to be a previous flag hung, I guess farther to the south, closer to the intersection of the driveway and Willow Street. So I think that's something where, when I spoke with Jennifer, she shared the previous plans, the previously approved plans with me, and she said, if we put a data point from those plans on these plans and just altered our straw wattles, from my understanding, I think she felt comfortable with that, but I don't want to put words in her mouth.
Yeah, what she had mentioned to me was either, you either get a plan that shows the wetland line with the flag as shown on the previous wetland delineation that was accepted, or just not approve from B9, between B9 and B1. B9, it would be the last approvable flag, so B8765431 would be not approved.
She has here, I do not agree with the delineation between B8 and B9.
B8 and B9, that was before these 6 o'clock plans.
Okay.
The 6 o'clock plans corrected that, but still from B8 on. So B9 and B10 were fixed. B8, which is the one at the corner there, none of that would be confirmed.
And as currently delineated with B9 and B10 in their current location, you're still more than 10 feet away from the wetland?
As far as the work footprint goes, I believe so.
That sounds like it would be something to clarify while developing this dewatering detail, just to make sure that everything is where it should be as far as the wetland line and setbacks resolved, dewatering detail, and then our homework on the wetland regs. I'm all set.
Okay. Sean, you have anything further?
I don't.
All right, what are we going to do with this? It sounds like you're looking for a continuance.
Needs to be continued, I think.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we'll... Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, the next item is 242, 1647, 172 Summer Street.
So my information on this from Jennifer was that if we did not have a revised plan, then can't issue. And to my knowledge, not that I received, we did not get a new plan. I think they're going to try, but we did not get it. So it's going to have to continue.
Okay, so your motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the next item is 242, no number is yet, but 242 Dale Street.
No, you skipped 1651.
We still have to continue that one. We held that
Oh,
one
yeah,
until
yeah,
they,
yeah, we held
till we
that
got
one
to
on.
it and they're not here.
Since
Yeah, we gave him a
there's
chance
no
to...
one here, let's continue.
Move to continue.
So moved.
Second.
242, 1651.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Okay.
now, 242 Dale Street.
Sorry, Sean, you have one more?
That's all right. Pursuant to the authority of the Wetlands Protection Act, Mass General Law, Section 131, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended, and the North Andover Wetland Protection Bylaw, the North Andover Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, May 27, 2015, at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Meeting Room, second floor, located at 120 Main Street, North Andover, Massachusetts, for the filing of a notice of intent by Rob Barter and Julie Nigro to alter land at 242 Dale Street, map 64, parcel 30, for the purpose of installation of an above-ground pool, patio, and fencing within buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland. Plans are available at the Conservation Commission Office, 1600 Osgood Street, Suite 2035, by Louis Napoli, Chairman.
Okay,
Applicants and owners are here. You should have plans for this one. We have extras if you don't. They're proposing, so you recently approved a small project, if the address sounds familiar, for just the deck. The deck is shown on this plan, but the notice of intent is for the remainder of the work, which is an above-ground pool, patio, deck, replacement of an existing patio, and the removal of 3 trees now, because one was removed. So 4 more? Okay, 4 more trees. And the installation of a fence.
Are there any waiver requests?
None needed.
No waivers requested?
Nope, they're
Okay.
staying out of the 25 and out of the 50
Meets all the
respectively.
setbacks? Everything's good?
Yes.
So this is just for the above-ground pool and the retaining wall?
There's decking, a
Where's the
retaining wall.
Proposed lower deck?
Yep, there's an upper deck, and then there's a retaining wall and a lower deck. There's,
Oh, we got no cross-section through this. How is this thing supposed to
is
run?
there a cross-section? No, there's not. So the retaining wall on the side is shown as, sorry, I zoomed it out again, 2.33 feet high. They're replacing a block patio and installing a fence around the perimeter of the property, but not within the 25, and removing 4 trees. And there is a bit of, where the pool is sitting, there is, the reason for the retaining wall is there's going to be some dirt that needs to get pulled out of there because it is a slope, which is why there's a stockpile on the plan. Yep. There is a slope that'll need to be dug into.
So this, the deck is going to be higher than the pool, than the area immediately around the pool?
The deck is going to be, it's going to kind of come out of the house.
You step down and then,
Yeah.
then there's the,
The idea is that the deck will actually be flush with the front edge of the pool. The front edge of the pool closest to the house, the idea is that when it's set, will be roughly 15 inches above the grade of the existing block patio. So the deck will come off the existing block patio, and it'll be basically a step and then a platform.
And this is in watershed. And they are going through planning as well.
Thank you. That does.
I don't have any questions, Doug, but I do want to just make a comment. Like, the applicant here sat through an early discussion on Boston Road. I mean, the work here is very similar, but it's broader than what that other applicant was. So the whole debate of us doing that one under an RDA and this one under an NOI is because of the additional work that you're doing. So don't want to make it sound like we're being inconsistent. It's because you are doing more work that it rose to that level. The other one almost rose to that level, but just not quite. But I have no questions with what they're proposing.
any questions, Al?
No, it's a good project. No waivers, good setbacks. I like it. I'm all set.
Okay, Jack?
There's a note in the recommendations that the aluminum fence, 4-foot-high aluminum fence be raised up, the bottom of it be raised up 6 inches from the ground to allow passage of small wildlife. So we would probably condition that as part of the order. Other than that, no, I have no questions.
So we're also waiting to hear back from Natural Heritage, so it will need to continue anyways.
Yeah, needs a number.
What, beaver?
Probably.
Yeah, it comes from the pool.
They don't tell her. They don't
Are they
like to
claiming
tell us.
estimated habitat on this property? Did
It's-
Natural Heritage say it?
Yeah, it's very close. The line is very close to their work. The line goes through their backyard.
What's the
Don't
What's
know.
the critter?
They haven't told us yet.
Is it a Blanding's turtle or a...
Don't know.
Red blue isn't even on the list anymore.
It's probably a salamander.
Probably. I don't know. They don't like to tell us a lot of stuff.
So, we're presuming they're gonna want amphibian movement, so we're pulling the fence up.
We're making that
So that way, if
assumption.
the letter comes in after the fact, we've got it covered.
We're making the assumption, but yes, we don't actually have an
So
answer.
the critter movement will be covered. So what's stopping us from closing it?
And I wasn't trying to be facetious, I'm trying to think, keeping the fence down and keep the beavers out of the pool.
I know. And sometimes they do come back depending, like, there has been pools where they have come back and said, we want it down because we don't want turtles getting into the pool and getting trapped and drowning. So, but we haven't heard back from them yet. That was an assumption based on
Be some good climbing turtles to get into that above-ground pool.
the above ground. The in-ground ones are the ones that usually, you're right, above ground. I'm always thinking in-ground.
So we're waiting for a number and for Natural Heritage.
We have the number.
Oh,
We
you
did
got the
get a number.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I didn't see it on
What
the...
is the number?
I just chased it down yesterday, so
Okay.
it wasn't there.
All right, so
Any
you have a number,
comments?
so it's just Heritage.
What's that?
How many days does
Comments from
Heritage...
the state?
No, they just put it up there yesterday, but, I mean, it says no comments, but they just wasn't even there until yesterday, so.
How many days does Natural Heritage have to reply?
30 for the initial, how did Jack submit it to Natural Heritage, or did Rochelle do it? Rochelle did it? Did you write a check?
We did.
Okay.
I have copies of that. I have
60
copies
days.
of the check.
We sent that out on May 14th.
Yeah. 60 days, so. It shouldn't take that long.
All right, so we can't close because they haven't responded.
They're before watershed, it's in watershed, they're before planning,
Yeah.
and they've got some time with planning anyways, so we're not
Safe
gonna,
to say, we can continue it, they don't need to come
we're not
back.
gonna hold them up.
Once the paperwork closes, we can just,
Yep.
We
we
don't
have no
have,
further questions.
we don't have any recommendations from to change anything, right? We're happy with the way it is.
Happy with the way it is?
Okay, I have a motion to continue.
I don't have any questions. But I'll move to continue.
Wait, what's your...
Well, you know, if you're gonna comment like that, you better come up with a question now.
May I continue, Mr. Chairman?
You may-
can be
you
more
may
respectful
also.
with, well, then I move to continue 1652, 242 Dale Street.
Second.
So, just get everything else done, and when that information comes in, we'll close it out and issue the order of conditions. Sorry you had to stay so late. I hope you were entertained at least.
Not one of our better meetings.
Is there a bigger plan than this? I'm having, somebody's having a hard time
Yeah, so it's a little,
figuring this out.
it's a little busy. Yeah, it's a little busy in there.
Not that it's sarcastic, see, they
The
don't
land drops
continue.
away,
Yeah.
so the pool's gonna be at a lower tier, and he's sloping that land with the retaining wall,
Yeah.
leaving like an annular space.
Yep, I see it. I see exactly what
So
he's
the deck
doing.
is gonna basically bridge over that retaining wall
So the
up to the
deck,
pool.
the deck's at 104.
Yeah, but the deck ends before the wall.
Yeah, it almost should show it as bridging across to it,
It doesn't.
to the pool. It doesn't show it, you're right.
So that's the problem. It looks like you step down on the deck and then you're hitting the wall.
Then
Where's
you-
the wall? Go down? Since the land is sloping away, you would think that the wall you would step off the wall and go down. But this is the retaining wall cross-section. It doesn't give you that indication at all. You know, it's a 4-foot max.
Yeah.
So that's one big step, so
It's a big step, one giant
You know,
step.
there should be a section through there just to tell you what it looks like. Unless you can read it, Joe.
I don't know how he's getting into the pool. Some sort of a bridge.
I don't care how they get in the pool. Doesn't matter. They get in the pool. What's next?
Okay, the next now we've got some, let's see, we have requests for,
It was a COC.
you know, we have two POCs that were continued already. Then we have 242, 1562, 151 Boxford Street.
The erosion controls aren't removed yet. You do have information in, but the erosion controls aren't removed yet, and the owners weren't available to come tonight. They ended up with something else they needed to do, so continue.
The only thing is just the erosion controls aren't removed? Is that the
Nope,
only-
there's things they should probably discuss with you, so.
So there's other things other than erosion controls?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we have 242, 1649, Berry Pond Beach.
This is for the sand. This is for the beach. The work was completed in...
This is after the fact?
Yeah, so this is beach work out in Berry Pond.
You know what it looked like? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice sand.
So they did the work in
catch
like
and
2
release.
days. The erosion controls have been removed. That's photos of after the erosion controls are removed. And the sand. And we have the contractor? And with contractors here tonight.
Director of Sumco Eco Contracting. I did the work for DCR.
Been out there, Harry?
Yep.
You happy with it?
As happy as you can be with sand next to a pond, sure. Yes, I didn't see any issues, no erroneous issues.
Looks like snow.
Looks like it, but it's not snow.
It's nice sand.
May 8th.
Right, May 8th.
White sand.
Duly noticed. Noted. I like it.
It's not used anywhere else in the project.
It's all right.
Just that one location. You put white sand down?
This existing sand was actually what they call dead sand. It was compacted, mixed with clay. It was contaminated with just so hard for the children to play. So we removed the existing sand, 10-inch, and brought in fresh washed sand to be safer.
I mean, my comment is that we show pictures here before and after. And the sand is the normal color tan sand, but then there's one picture here which shows white.
You know, it wasn't white sand.
What the heck
Put in-
is this?
Must be the
stuff?
lighting
It's
on the
not
camera.
snow.
It's
Must
photo
be the
4B.
photo, yeah.
Photograph 4B, which was taken on May 8th, 2015. In the photo, it looks like it's either white sand or snow, but it's not.
Yeah, it must have been
It's
a
not
tin in the
snow.
lens.
I think it's the panoramic.
Yeah.
See how
Yeah.
this is all tan and this just looks really light?
Yeah, this angle is a much better replication of the tan. It's a native sand.
It is tan.
It is
Being out
sand,
there. It is.
but it's not the color that's shown.
It's, no, that is something strange, yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Wasn't there some handicap access feature? If there was, I'm just not seeing it. Is that that boardwalk that I'm just seeing in the very first picture?
But there is actually a ramp that goes down to the beach. Existing.
That wasn't part of your work? That was part of the permit, right? Or was it they just showing it?
That
in
deck area
Yeah.
you're seeing? No, that was there.
That was there?
Yeah.
Okay. They were just showing it as part of the handicapped access.
Yeah. We brought our sand up to the existing structure.
Yeah, that was there
Okay.
sometime.
Okay, any comments?
No questions here.
I hear a motion.
I move that we grant the certificate of compliance for 242-1649 Berry Pond Beach.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Sean, do you have any questions?
Thank you, but no, I don't now. But, you know, I've been accused of bringing sand to the beach before, and, but this guy actually did it, and he did a great job on it.
Thank you. It actually did come out nice.
It did.
Looks good. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sorry to keep you here so late.
Now we have a modification request of 225 Abbott Street.
Certificate of compliance.
DEP file 242-1558.
And we have someone here representing.
I believe we do.
Save the best for last.
No.
Let's hope.
We give points for brevity. We give points for brevity. We-
Okay, I'll take it. So, 225 Abbott. So this was approved several years ago.
Yes, when we did our second floor, you approved it, and then we just made a couple small modifications to the mudroom and the patio.
So it was approved back in 2012, but they made it in under the Permit Extension Act, so it's still a valid order. And they want to modify what they're originally proposed. So the addition between the garage and the house is going to go from 9.5 by 14 and 9 by 14.5 to 9 by 16, and the patio is going to go from 14.5 by 16 to 17 by 20. So it's going to increase. And then there is some things outside the buffer zone. They want to put in a stockade fence and extend the wall, but both of those items are outside the buffer zone. The work that's in is the expansion of the patio and the addition.
Okay. Any comments? We'll start with Sean this time.
Thanks.
I'm sure he's coming.
Is this getting any closer to the wetland height?
It is getting, it's going from 90, I have all this written down too. I have my scale. It is by like 2 feet.
Okay, so from 90 to 80 something? I mean, I see the proposed addition is really far away. I see the proposed patio is very far away.
Yep.
I see proposed retaining wall.
89 now.
89.
89 feet is the closest flag.
Yep.
And what's that closest to?
It is,
The addition and the patio
so
look like they're outside the 100.
the patio is, nope, there's two different lines. It's 7B is where it's 89 feet from. There's a vernal pool, and then there's BVW that's far enough away to have different buffer lines.
But they're outside of all our do not disturbs and...
Yep.
Okay. Nope, I don't have any questions.
I have no questions.
Al?
I have no questions.
Joe?
None.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I'll move that we grant the modification request as proposed.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed the show. There's no extra charge.
With the permit?
Yeah, we'll write something up, but you'll be able to come in.
Okay. Because we already have the plans from the architect, so I can just bring those into the town and get the permits for the...
Have your contractor come see the building.
Mr. House, so.
He should go see the building and get all that sorted
Yeah.
out while we're writing up our part.
Okay. Great.
Because that'll take a few days too.
Earlier meetings.
Good night.
Night. Heidi, do we have decisions for,
Or does this extend it automatically?
It's like automatically extended.
Okay,
But
if you have questions,
yes, we have, so we're gonna have to skip 172 Summer.
No.
Um,
287
So we have
Forest.
287 and
674
674.
Turnpike.
You guys should have
We don't have
copies.
them.
I do.
You do?
I added them to
Them at the end, maybe.
everybody's
What are we looking for?
decisions.
You did.
Yeah, got it. Got them right here.
1644.
I have extras if you,
No, I got it.
Are we doing 1644 first or 43? Are we doing them numerically or by height?
I think by height works
All right,
best.
do it by height.
Go by thickness.
But how do you measure yourself with other golfers? Caddyshack reference, gotta get those in.
So which one are we doing? Which one would you like to do first? 44?
Sure.
All right. 287 Forest. That was for in-ground pool. That was, I think there's non-backwashing filter. There's an old order which is referenced in here, condition 31.
I guess that's what we normally do. Condition 48.
$2,500 bond. I know Jen took it from others of similar nature, so.
It's a reasonable.
Yeah, there's mitigation plantings, that's in here. Marking of the 50-foot no disturb.
Heidi, is this the property that has the common driveway?
Yes.
Yep, and it's got wetlands on both sides of it?
Both sides,
And it was
yep.
gravel, and they asked permission to pave it?
Yep.
Does this order of conditions allow paving? What was it? I wasn't at that
Yes.
meeting. We did allow them to pave.
Yes, it does. I did.
Yes.
I was against it
It's
strenuously.
actually a double-edged sword. You don't want stuff moving in, but at the same token, you don't want more impervious area.
I remember,
But it's
because
allowed.
I looked at purchasing this house, and at the time I was looking at it, we were told by the Conservation Commission you couldn't pave it. It was not pavable.
We reluctantly allowed it last time.
That's what happens when you miss a meeting, you know, you can't let your thoughts be echoed.
It was vigorously discussed.
It was.
And there were a lot of amendments made and a lot of safeguards put in place. It's a good plan.
There was mitigation.
There is mitigation. It's a good plan. It takes advantage of everything that is available to us. And I think it'll be a good thing.
Okay, we'll hear a motion.
I move that we approve and adopt the order of conditions for 2421644 as drafted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Three to one. 3 to 1.
3-1.
3-1-0 because the chairman didn't vote. There was no tie, needed to be broken. According to parliamentary procedure. 21.51 parentheses 3.
Boy, you're making things up.
Yeah, I totally made it up, but
Was that 3C or 3B?
3 little b dash c.
Yeah, okay. got it.
Sean's the one that can do that.
All right.
674 Turnpike is the septic system.
This is,
It was almost in the wetland.
and this is the just for the record, this is the septic system that is only necessary because the town refuses to allow this applicant to put in a force main. The applicant was ready, willing, and able to install a force main, and the town simply said no, so he's forced to put in this septic system. So, what choice did the guy have?
In my memory is it's going to be undersized if he has to build it as a commercial.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut again, second time tonight. I'm just going to clam up.
Second time ever.
Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm not going to vent anymore. No more venting. For tonight, anyway.
Until next time.
Until next time. That's right, Doug. Thank you. Well said.
Well, it's good to vent and get it off your chest.
Yeah, I know.
Condition 49's highlighted.
Must be important.
They're all important.
Oh, yeah, that was highlighted because the wetland comes up into the lawn, if I remember right on this one.
We didn't want to make any mistakes.
So,
Don't remember.
so 49.
It's just highlighted.
I say leave it in.
So what's this 3 rounds
We have round markers and square markers. And they say different things. Yeah, they say different things.
Hopefully they don't contradict one of
It's probably overcomplicated.
So condition 49, leave.
Sorry, what was your question?
Condition 49, leave in.
I'd leave it in. My opinion, my humble, I don't know. Anybody else have any?
I agree with that.
Okay.
The two different markers were a clarification, because it would have been confusing. We thought it would be potentially confusing if we didn't put the square ones in, so we put those in too. So it was a long time ago.
I move that we approve and issue the order of conditions for 2421643 as drafted.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's it.
Is there anything else you want to discuss?
Nope,
The
there's
correct
nothing.
answer is no.
No, just adjournment.
Do I hear a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.